I will try to show what I think happened between FGHI era of males with the next, haplogroups J and K, who don't appear to have left any descendants, yet I contend their hybrid offspring spread across the world. J and K are from two different roots. And the last remnants of I2A1 males could have come down from the edge of the Black Sea back into the Middle East as J1, mixing with the mitochondrial W ladies that probably came up with T1 from the Indus Valley, which would correlate with the story of Noah, the last remnants of the I clan coming down after the flood and suddenly having three different types of sons, giving rise to Ham, Shem, Japheth, and Elam, and their wives, mothers to Judah, Israel, and the tribe of Dan, who populate Europe and North Africa. We see I, J, and T males with these R type of women. So here we have T coming back from long ago. And who is T, who appeared before with B, C, and now F? We're told that T is actually a lineage of K, KM70. And we'll be looking more into the supergroup of K. But first, what happened to FGHI? As we've seen, most of the FGHI group got wiped out in this middle era that was between about 50,000 and 30,000 years ago, according to these charts, only leaving G2 and I1. So I contend the line of Seth continued to Noah as G2, coming back into the Middle East from the Caucasus Mountains to continue as Shem, but also becomes part of Elam, the hybrid of G2 males and the line of Ham females, whose hybrids lead to Abraham, while I1 got away up to Iceland. And that's how the royal hybrid of Nimrod got into the line of Elam, took over and became the royal Abraham line. The three major religions pledged their allegiance, and the royal line of Abraham through Jacob and Judah. The queens and kings of Europe all say they came from the line of Judah, mixed with the line of Dan that had a covenant with God. So as we can see, Jacob and Leah were the parents of the tribe of Judah, while Zilpah, Rachel, and Bilhah were the mothers of the rest of the tribes of Israel. And as we will see, there were two other patriarchs. Now, let's follow those same lines of Jacob and Leah. Now, it's through Leah and Jacob that we have the tribe of Judah. And the line continues through Pharez, continuing to encompass the royal line of David, which has one line going off to Jesus Christ and the other going down to the royal family. We have Pharez over here, and David comes in through God's promise to David. After Pharez. But after Pharez, we see two female lines join with Hezron. And as I've said, this is where the royal line came into the land of Canaan, was through the female Atlantean queens. Then continued the male line from Hezron through Boaz, Obed, Jesse to King David. And the next name after that is Solomon. Solomon meaning sun and moon. Here we've got the line from Rachel down, the wife of Jacob, Rachel, who had Benjamin and Joseph, who had Ephraim and Manasseh. Now it just so happens that Manasseh goes down and across to Hezron, who was under Pharez. And that's a direct link down then to Boaz, Obed, Jesse and King David. Manasseh became linked with America. That's interesting because we know that mitochondrial X was taken to America, where ancient Hebrew artifacts have been found, and in my opinion, becoming the princess matriarchal line of the Powhatan tribe, Pocahontas, whose bloodline was brought back to America in the 1800s. So we've got all these little links with the royalty of the bloodline that came from more than just Abraham. And we see Dan's mother, Bilhah, was not attached to Jacob, but had a different husband. David, Solomon being included in the royal lineage down to kings and queens of Europe. Continuing to look at Abraham, the legacy through Isaac and Jacob's 4 wives that had the 12 tribes. The tribe of Levi was also a son of Jacob and Leah, and didn't actually have a land allotted, but he was a travelling taxman, I think, but it gives rise to the lineage of Moses and Aaron, which families with the name Cohen are of this special elite Jewish lineage. And we see that Abraham had 2 sons, and Ishmael is the line to Muhammad. So here we see the link with the Jewish religion and the Islamic of Odin, the continuation of the Babylonian kings that looked like Vikings, who came into Canaan through the tribe of Dan and the wife Bilhah. Yet we hear only of Shem, revered by the Jews as the representation of the god figure El. This is a beautiful old map out of my family Bible, over 100 years old. It's the prosperity of Noah. This is the Middle East area, which is green, and green was left to Shem. So Ham is yellow, Japheth is pink. So Ham is Egypt, Sheba, and the Tigris and Euphrates, which was called the cradle of civilization. The kingship of Babylon. This was and Canaan. So these were all the legacy of Ham. Ham was the black African Egyptian people. Shem was green. Shem was left all of the deserts. And Shem also had this area which was Elam. Apparently after the flood, Ham was dishonoured and the lands of Ham were left to Shem, and Japheth went up to Europe. And the line of Shem comes down to Abraham. Now what we find in oral Jewish tradition is that the seed of the kings of Babylon stowed away on Noah's Ark in Ham's wife. And who was that? The queen bloodline of Cleopatra and Sheba, Egypt and Ethiopia. So not just stowed away like the movie showed. The last king of Bashan was supposedly from this area here, Bashan, King Og, which correlates with the Babylonian kings coming into Canaan through the lands of Dan at the top of what became Israel, near Mount Hermon and the Temple of Baalbek. Mount Hermon is the place where the Nephilim supposedly came in. So are the Nephilim really just the survivors of the whiter Odin king line that came in and mixed with the female Atlantean queens? After Ham, Shem, Japheth, we see that Canaan becomes, firstly it becomes Judah and Israel. Israel is split up into the 12 tribes. Jerusalem used to be in Judah, but after Jerusalem was given to the tribe of Benjamin. And we see male haplogroups J and T, otherwise known as KM, move in to take over with their hybrid wives for the next era. Empires start to take hold, take shape, and this area of Elam became the Persian, the Median Empire. For a while we had peaceful agriculture, and between 6 and 4,000 before present, you've got this sudden infiltration of warlike people. The Medians were joined by Scythians and came up from Sumer then with their warring ways, riding horses, and the intensification of organisation and authority, and took over this whole area before moving on to the rest of Europe. So this would certainly seem to support the previous information on the mythology and architectural evidence that was left in these regions, showing that the female line seems to be responsible for giving humans agriculture, and then the males came in slightly later, taking over with brute force and weapons, religions and laws, and keeping divine secrets from the people. So I contend that haplogroups J and K have been around in several phases, influencing the changes from ABC through to modern day. There's such a large population, it seems, in that Middle East area, until something perhaps happened to make them leave suddenly. After the mass extinction, we see J and T to take over Canaan, and the Persian religion of Zoroaster suddenly appears. Zoroaster's monotheism migrated from Persia into Egypt, but was not as popular with the people as their pagan stellar gods who returned, although sun worship seemed an aspect of both. So it seems to me that the T males mixing with the G males from the Scythians, but they were no match for Alexander the Great, who claimed he was a descendant of Hercules, hybrid son of Zeus. Haplogroup J2b. With the fall of Persia into the hands of the Macedonians and Greeks, the secrets of the Babylonian kings, the Middle Eastern secret knowledge of the stellar goddesses Demeter and Despoina, continued into Egypt as the cult of Isis, then on to Greece and Rome as the Eleusinian mysteries, with the secrets of our soul's immortality. This is one of my favourite pieces of symbology. I believe it was found under where the Vatican is built, in a place that was for the worship of Mithra, came before Christianity. And this is supposedly Mithra killing the bull being the symbology of the religion that came before, Baal worship, in his Scythian hat, and the snake is drinking the blood of the bull. Now here we see this Mithra character, but together with Caucasian looking sun deity, moon goddess, and the slightly smaller minions. The military wielding some energy weapon here. Here's the snake, the symbol of the tribe of Dan, holding the cornucopia of plenty, giving tithes to the gods. So here we've got the agreement, the pact. The moon goddess Isis is representing the female bloodline of Isis, Isaac and Ishmael. The sun god Ra, the hybrid Egyptian pharaonic bloodline, and El, the combination of the Babylonian king line in with the military Scythians. Hence we have Israel,